What of this Vorador?
Follow the glow of the Ignis Fatuus to the termagant forest.
Ignis Fatuus?
The Ignis Fatuus lights the path to hell, nobleman. Your path.
Exiting the Oracle's cavernous dwelling, we resolve to locate the Vampire Vorador, stopping only to feed on a wandering gastropod and regain our strength in the process, and pausing to ponder if Vorador will indeed see us as kin and aid us in felling the Hollow Knight Malek as he had previously, or perhaps bemusedly attack us with his undoubtedly formidable combat prowess as an unwanted interloper as we had this poor blood bag. Heading south along the trail, the very flora turns hostile, spitting spiked barbs in contempt of our unwanted trespassing. Dispatching another of the lurid lupine that laconically stalk us neath the harsh light, we head east to locate another helpful bat flight point. Following the muddy trail back west, we find a sign labelled Ustenheim. However, as our flays disintegrate the matted fur of the lingering wolf's pack members, we see our path is utterly barred by an impassable body of water. How Malek's brethren would visit him remains but a mystery, yet as we find a nearby perch to view the black forest in which his fortress lies, we further ponder aloud.
The Black Forest reigned here, its kingdom rarely invaded by those that live in the light. But it was called home by this mysterious Vorador. Legend told of a time when Vorador defeated Malek of the Sarafan. If such a man did exist, then he could perhaps be the key to defeating the Ward.
It's only as we backtrack momentarily do we see a dilapidated tower's entrance that bars our path and is impassable thanks to the thick trunks of local pines. However, with dual axes in hand, we twirl gracefully as a masculine ballerino through butter, revealing the entrance now opened anew. Inside the dank tower, we briefly head to the western room, which bears a save point. However, back in the main hall, we find the mist spell before an impassable door and comment.
When in mist form, I am invulnerable to physical weapons, blade and claw. I can seep through locked doors and cracks and move swiftly like a shadow fleeing light.
Entering the mist form, we find the barricaded door less than impassable as we manage to seep through the gates on its side. We casually step over the otherwise treacherous quicksand and find that physical weapons, much to our delight, pass through us as our enemies impotently slash at us. Although as we leave the dungeon, it should be noted energy projectiles can still pierce our vanishing veil and must be respected accordingly. As night falls, our power grows, and we skirt the body of water once more, feeling its searing kiss on our lower legs. Shift seamlessly into mist form. Now, light as air itself, we dance upon the water's surface, not breaking even its structure as we glide unharmed to the other side of the lake. Dodging the foul plumes of green, noxious gas of the mutant plants that lie on the other side, we move south to the darkened forest below. It's there the blackened brambles cause us much pain when we stray from the path. It's then we think back on the Oracle's words. Follow the Ignis Fatuus, he said, or will-o'-the-wisp in the old tongue. Ironic, light shall guide a vampire to their salvation. We then see that returning to our mist form allows us to bypass the bush's barbs completely, and we head east, stepping over their gnarled branches until we locate the entrance to one of 3 dilapidated forts that gift us abilities necessary for the treacherous road ahead. Inside, we see a painting of a sword surrounded by a fiery red on the floor. To the northwest, a door opens to reveal a save point. Heading back into the main foyer and the middle red double doors, the sandy surface below pulsates with a strange heat and light. The only inhabitants of the queer halls are victims, left shackled to the walls, as if making sure our thirst is slaked for some kind of unknown trial ahead. Drinking deeply, we emerge to the south and find ourselves atop a great temple's roof, yet somehow we remain underground. Hearing the familiar voices of bandits abound, we re-equip our dual axes and make short work of the lackeys. Realizing we are but at a disadvantage, mired by darkness, we leverage artificial light to illuminate our path. To the southeast, we then find a single glyph that glows red, one of many that must be activated to unlock the prized puzzle therein. As we move north, a female undead thrall lunges towards us, and it is only due to our superior footwork that we survive. Hastening our unlocking of the glyphs, we encircle the rooftop, finding glyphs and felling foul foes alike until finally, the secret is laid bare, and at the southernmost point, we collect the promised flame sword.
The sword ravages flesh with teeth of metal and flame, leaving only scorched remains.
Save Victus!
The sword, when swung, lights up the room in an eerie display of raw, fiery death. As we move to exit the temple, another vampire attempts to lunge at us once more. The dance now replaced with our steadfast swing of the sword, which lights the ground about her. Her body then combusts upon contact, and we hear her bellowing scream. The only drawback we find with this weapon being there's nothing left of our victims to feed upon, save scattered flakes of ash and contempt left in our wake. Once outside, we head a short while west and stumble upon the second shrine of Control Mind. Inside, we appropriately see a mural of a brain shrouded by magic on the floor. The shrine innards boast many enemies flanking us on either side, though perched too high above us to do any real harm. Racing directly up the guts of the tower, we locate the promised spell and remark.
This spell allows me to enslave my enemies, giving me control of their bodies. When I release my grip, their bodies will shrivel and die as I displace their souls and replace them with my own.
It's then, as we turn to leave, we also utilize the spell on a trio of brigands. This gives us access to our enemies' abilities, and we can use their previously inaccessible position to unlock doors and items, as our body is protected safely below. Finally, before we explore the forest further for Vorador's hidden abode, we cross the thorny branches to the southwest and enter the Blood Gout dungeon. Inside, we see a mural of a poor peasant having their blood ripped unceremoniously from their body. Stalking down the few enemies that dare bar our path, we soon find out why. In the next room, we see enemies flank us again and collect the Blood Gout spell, explaining aloud.
This spell allows me to use blood from my own body as a weapon. When struck, my enemy's blood would flow from their bodies to fill me with life. 'Tis a risk, yet the rewards are a temptation.
Attempting to stalk down a nearby victim to our right, we momentarily forget about the burning liquid underfoot. Cursing our carelessness, we then take advantage of the perfect opportunity to use said spell at a distance on the poor wretch shackled to the wall. With the secrets of all three dungeons plumbed and the forest amply explored, we follow the trail to Vorador's mansion that winds to the southeast. Peppered with magical projectiles from our enemies and pursued relentlessly by undead foes, our magic stores begin to wane, and we cannot help but wonder what compelled Vorador to inhabit this treacherous marsh.
Strange that Vorador would choose a dwelling so perilous to him. The swamp could only offer a vampire hazard and pain. Vorador's keep was hidden deep within the turbulent forest, nestled among vines and creepers that clung desperately to its dark, weathered stone.
Relinquishing our mist form for the final time, we returned to flesh on Vorador's doorstep, seeing no expense was spared on the vampire's sprawling abode as we enter its majestic doors. Stepping inside Vorador's lavish entrance, the walls we see are dripping with gold artifacts and trim to match. The floor a blood red, bearing the visage of Vorador.
The luxury with which this Vorador surrounded himself was impressive. His wealth would shame the haughty nobles of my former court.
Resuming our quest, we search first to the east, locating a safe point. To the north, through the double doors, we see the breadth of Vorador's domain and comment.
That this vulgar display of fortune remained undisturbed was a testament of fear's dominion over greed.
With the western door barred, we move to the eastern room, finding a floating thrall ready to pounce. Burning the flame-haired hag where she hovered, we step over her ashy corpse casually to control the mind of another of Vorador's pets and use the switch on the northern wall to unlock the door to our right before remarking.
Their charms were almost visible through the gauze of their clothing, yet beauty such as theirs delivered only death. For these were Vorador's pets, nothing more than beasts, slave to his will and the easy prey he provided. Vampires, all of them, held in thrall by one stronger still.
Fending off a throng of thralls, first with our flaming sword, the second with a fiendish flame. We find the ladies of the house were caught mid-snack, and help ourselves to the pantry of the master of the house.
A vampire's feast. Like cattle awaiting slaughter, men and women dangled from the rusted hooks upon the dungeon walls. Blood and viscera frosted the dirt and stone. The abundance nearly overwhelmed me, for blood is the life.
In a room to the west, we find ourselves in a similar scenario. A scantily clad thrall moves to attack us, but we, in turn, attempt to dispatch the wicked wench with our sword, which swats harmlessly through the air that lies in her stead. Sensing our disadvantage, we hurl a telekinetic bolt of command across the spikes to her dagger-throwing accomplice. A body now cocooned safely in a magical barrier, the witch's fury is felt as she impotently eats one shuriken after another, succumbing finally to her wounds, as we casually then flip the switch to the next room, and accordingly return to our familiar form, collecting the new demonic chaos armor.
My enemies are quite vicious, and the chaos armor extracts from them a heavy price for their bloodlust. The blows are meant for me, but it is their bodies that carry the wounds.
With our new thorny hide of protection, we confidently stalk our way through the rest of the now repetitive traps. We find a wicked spell in the northern room awaits our arrival.
Oh, to bathe in the blood of others. This spell is especially useful in the face of multiple combatants. Beware those with tainted blood.
After feeding deeply, we step through another northern door, this time to a horrific sight. Bodies in various states of agony and death, almost an artistic expression of the vampires.
The room I had entered had but one purpose: the torture and execution of human beings for the sadistic pleasure of its engineer. Blood was splattered on every surface, coating the spikes that jutted from the walls and filming the stone floor. The dread and agony of victims past still echoed through the lethal walls. A symphony of terror and agony filled the air. Then, from amidst the cacophony of screaming souls came the perverse laughter of the vampire himself. And upon the wall, scribbled in blood, were the words, "Manus Celer Die."
Only by partaking in the carnage do we prove our worth, and the doors inexplicably open. In a western room, after cutting down another underling, we discover a tome that shares secrets of Vorador's vampiric heritage.
Amongst Vorador's possessions, I found an ancient chronicle. Long ago, vampires grew in such number so as to capture the attention of the Circle. The Order of the Sarafan, or the Angels of Light as they were called, was instated to counter the menace. Thus, the Vampire Purge began.
Unable to travel forth, we've controlled the mind of an unfortunate adversary who allows us to stroll through the mansion and explore its secrets. In the room to the west, we see Vorador has a particular taste in paintings.
The tapestries wove a tale of chaos ignited, an orgy of fire and pain. Undead beings with rotted skins caked with sulphur and ash beckoned at me through a burning abyss. Their tortured stares were a testimonial to the price of weakness. Their fate would not find me. Yet blood calls to blood.
The peasant proves quite useful as we puppeteer his body to a northern wall and unlock our final barred entry to Vorador himself. We find just north as we step through the ostentatious halls of the mansion into a somberly lit room with a save point. Entering the northwestern door, we find ourselves at the southern point of a long dining table. At the other side, the unmistakable visage of Vorador appears, beckoning us to him. As we approach him, we see something unexpected, the destiny in which we've inherited.
In the bowels of that black forest, I found something worse than hell. A vision of what I was becoming.
It's not often I see one of our own, especially one as young and foolish as yourself. Nonetheless, drink. Drink deep and indulge your gift.
Gift? Vorador thought my curse a blessing. That we were gods. That mortals offered their blood as sacrifice so that we could enjoy our supernatural powers. And somewhere, deep inside my new self, I knew he was right. That mortal dreams were prayers. Prayers to us, begging us for power. I pondered this as the decadent old fool prattled on about his past. A boorish account of how he defeated Malek of the Sarafan and took his vengeance upon the Circle of Nine for supporting the Sarafan Holy War to exterminate us.
Call your dogs! They can feast on your corpses! After slaughtering 6 of the sheep, I defeated their pathetic little shepherd, Malek. Since then, our kind has not bothered with the cattle, except to feed. And I suggest you do the same. Meddling with the affairs of man can do us no good. Sarafan witch hunts are much too tedious to concern ourselves with. Am I understood, Kain? Good. Take this ring. If you ever need assistance, it will summon you. Despite your youthful arrogance, you amuse me, Kain. It would be such a pity to lose you to the abyss. Now be gone!